ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا ومن سيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله عليه وسلامه وعلى اله واصحابه ومن استنى بسنته اجمعين. يا ايها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحده وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والارحام ان الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا ايها الذين امنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن الا وانتم مسلمون. يا ايها الذين امنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم اعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. اما بعد. عباد الله, we have some important dates coming up. Mainly July the 4th, and it's not because it's Independence Day, rather it is because we live on the other side of the Atlantic, and that is the day of our votes, the day of the elections that are going to take place. Now there's a lot of sort of apprehension amongst Muslims when it comes to voting. We start talking about elections, parliament, MPs, and one kind of steps back and like, no, let's not go there. Democracy, it's against the Sharia, let's not go there. So there's a lot of apprehension with regards to this type of subject. And there seems to be obviously a lot of loud voices shouting about the whole situation. And sometimes when you're in a discussion about this particular topic, the loudest voice is the one that wins. Now, we Muslims should be a little more intellectual, a little more understanding, and we should think logically more than we should be emotive and scared or succumb to any type of peer pressure. We Muslims here in the West live in certain circumstances. We don't live in a utopia. We don't live under a khilafah. We don't have Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in our presence and in our midst. Nor do we have great men like the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim or the Tabi'een or the Atba' al-Tabi'een. Nor do we have great ulama like Ibn Taymiyyah and Izz ibn Abd al-Salam and all these great names that we've heard in the past. Unfortunately, we don't have that stuff at our disposal so that we can find some form of direction. We have to find that direction amongst ourselves. We have to do what we call ta'awun ala al-birri wa taqwa. We have to try and work together on righteousness and piety in order to pave the way for ourselves for what is right and what is best for the Muslims at large. So, the concept of choosing, the concept of picking certain people for certain responsibilities is not something that's foreign to Islam. It's not something that is foreign to the Quran or the Sunnah. Rather, there are plenty of examples from the Quran and the Sunnah about choosing individuals for certain purposes. Musa alayhi salam, when he picked 70 of his people, وَاخْتَارَ مُوسَى 70 رَجُلًا لِمِيقَاتِنَا, when he picked 70 of his followers to go and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he didn't pick them based on their families, he didn't pick them based on the wealth that they had, he didn't pick them based on the influence that they had amongst their people. Rather, because of certain qualities, certain characteristics that they had of truthfulness, righteousness, piety, and taqwa, and so on and so forth. So he picked these 7 people to go and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we know this. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he would encourage his Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim to pick from amongst themselves representatives. They would represent their people, their tribe, their part of the town of Medina or wherever they lived in the Arabian Peninsula, and come to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with that which they required, or with the view, or the understanding, or the idea of his people, or their people. This is called al-i'rafa. In Sunan Abi Dawud, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, al-i'rafatu haqqun, wa la yastaqimu an-nasu illa biha. That, or illa bil-i'rafa. That al-i'rafa, this type of picking representatives for people, this is a right. Every people has a right to pick people to represent them. And la yastaqimu an-nasu, and people will not, their affairs will not be rectified, they won't be organized, they won't achieve their objectives except with these people who represent them properly. And obviously there have to be certain characteristics and so on and so forth. This idea of choosing is not something foreign to Islam. It's found within the Kitab and it's found within the Sunnah. So anybody that says, no, we only do dictatorships around here, bro, we only allow people to rule us for 70 years straight under the iron fist, that's how we do it in Islam. Whoever starts touting that doesn't know the Quran, nor does he know the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay, the idea of working under foreign powers This is a contentious point that people put forward and say, no, you're not allowed to take part in the democratic process because these guys are kuffar and they rule by other than the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. And they quote the oft quoted ayah amongst them that whoever rules by other than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed, that they are the kuffar, they are the disbelievers. And these guys are ruling by other than Allah. So whoever takes part in the democratic process, whoever is a representative, or whoever even votes because you're taking part in the democratic process, is now officially a kafir. وَيَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ. Extremism that Islam has not seen the likes of, but present nonetheless. This idea, this concept of working under foreign powers is found in the Quran, my brother. If you want to do takfir of any Muslim, do it of Yusuf alayhi salam. Did he not say to the kuffar themselves, اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم? Did he not say that? Did he not say to the kuffar, make me the treasurer? Make me in charge of the wealth of this country. Make me the one who's in charge of that. Make me the MP that's in charge of that. Ajib. Knowing that they are kuffar, knowing that they have no revelation amongst them, knowing that they're not believers and they're upon a different deen, and he has certain characteristics. One of those characteristics that he is hafiz, right? He is, he knows how to keep things safe. And alim, and he knows like what to do. He knows how to manage money. He knows how to manage the budget. He knows how to make us rich, make his people rich. Yusuf alayhi salam is doing that. Is he a Muslim? 100%. No one's going to say otherwise. Is he doing that for the kuffar? Yes, he's doing that to the kuffar. Is he working for their government? Yes, he's working for their government. Jummah al-Khayr, you want to do takfir of Yusuf alayhi salam? Be my guest. But the Jahannam is waiting for you, my brother. So, my point of me saying this is don't give in to the peer pressure of this kufri understanding. We as Muslims need to choose who best represents us, even if they are non-Muslim, right? Why? Because it is from the masalih of the Muslimin. It is from those things that are going to benefit us in our deen. Forget our dunya, in our deen. It's going to benefit us. On somebody could say that, no, they're all bad. I look at Labour, all bad. I look at Conservative, all bad. Obviously, IANL is a charity, so we don't have any sort of particularity to any particular candidate or any particular party. I'm just speaking in general, inshallah. If you ask me afterwards, I'll tell you to. So you look at the sea of the politicians that are out there that are there to choose from in your local area, in central government, who are going to be leading the parties, and you think, you know what, all the same, man. None of you guys actually supporting Islam or Muslims. None of you guys really speak highly of Islam. And even when you do, it's like double standards. On one minute you're saying that all Muslims, all terrorists are Muslim, and then on the other hand you're saying no, Muslims are peaceful people, and Ramadan Kareem or whatever the Ramadan message is, right? So it's like, okay, what's the point? Why am I going to choose one over the other? So Ibn Taymiyyah and the Usuliyun in general, they have a qa'idah that they use, right? A principle that they use in the Sharia, which is that irtikabu akhaf al-darrayn wajib, that choosing the lesser of the evils is necessary. Like you have to. If all of them are bad, pick the one that is least bad. That's what you got to do. If you leave it, if you don't get involved, if you say, you know what, they're all bad, and I'm afraid of the peer pressure anyway because all my friends and my family or the people that I know, they're going to start pointing the finger at me and calling me kafir and stuff, so I'm not going to bother getting involved and I'm just going to sit on the sidelines. What's going to happen is somebody that you don't want, somebody that you didn't choose, somebody you didn't campaign for is going to take that spot. And that person who takes that spot is going to be worse than you ever expected or wanted it to be in the first place. فَلَا تَلُومَنَّ إِلَّا نَفْسَكَ. Then you have nothing to complain about. You have nothing to say for yourself. You have nothing to push back on. Because you didn't do anything about it, even when you could. And it's like, yeah, what will my vote have done? Akhi, at least take a step. The one who takes a step towards his goal is getting closer, no? But the one who stands in his spot, where's he going? He's going to stay in the same position. In fact, everybody else is going to go ahead, and he's going to stay in the same spot. Things are going to get worse, and he's going to wonder why they're getting worse. This is not the hikmah, this is not from the wisdom of the believer. The Muslims, wherever they went, they became successful. Was that because they became isolated and just sort of stuck to their own communities and banished everybody else and said, no, you guys are all kuffar, we're Muslims, we're upon the haqq, you guys are upon the batil, we're going to Jannah, you guys are going to Jahannam, khalas, there's nothing between me and you? How else did they end up being the umara? How else did they end up being like governors of like Malaga. Where on earth did that happen? Did they just turn up and be like, no, I'm just going to sit in my corner, build a masjid, and I said, khalas. I'll work as an accountant for the kuffar, but I won't take part in any other process. La. They were central to society. They took over, but they took part in commerce. They took part in the governing process. They were integral to the decision-making process. That's how they managed to wind their way up the ladders. That's how they managed to take control. In places where a combat didn't even happen, there wasn't even a war that took place. We have this in our history. So, inshallah ta'ala. Now what do we do as Muslims? Like, how do I'm here in Finchley, or I'm over there in Barnet, I've got Mike Freer, I think he's stepping down, right? And then I've got like Teresa De Villiers or whoever it is. Now remember, I can't endorse any particular candidate, these are just examples, right? Because they're there right now. So they're there, right? Well, I don't want to choose them, I want to choose somebody else. But who do I choose? I see the other candidates, nothing really sticks out. I don't know the criteria, what do I do? Alhamdulillah, there are people who are experts, not experts, well, they've worked hard in the field, know their stuff, worth their salt, and they've done the legwork for us. Now what they're doing is they're putting out recommendations for us. So you're free to choose whoever you want to choose. If you want to vote Conservative, be my guest, vote for genocide. If you want to, we don't, this is just examples, yeah? If you want to vote for Labour, this is exactly the same, be my guest. But if you want to vote for somebody else, absolutely, that's entirely your choice, no problem, yeah? You can vote for whoever you want to vote for. But if you want some help in guiding like your decision and trying to find some recommendations, there is an organisation called the Muslim Vote. And they have gone through many, many constituencies, if not all of them, and they've picked out, based on a criteria that's on their website, themuslimvote.com. Based on that criteria, they picked out the best candidate. Now obviously this is not like a fully vetted process where they've checked out every single candidate, they've gone through all of their campaign policies, and they've spoken to the community, the Muslim community in that area, and they've got their views on who they think the best candidate is and so on. So they haven't done anything exhaustive like that, but they just picked some criteria and they put that criteria against the current candidates, and they said, okay, this one is the one who kind of like meets most of those criteria. Based on that recommendation, you can choose whoever you want. If you want to pick the candidate that the Muslim Vote recommends, Bismillah. If you don't want to, Bismillah, no problem, it's up to you. But that is just a resource that you can use, inshallah ta'ala. If you want to have a little bit more influence with regards to local policy making, there is a Muslim group called the Muslims Voiced in Bayan, muslimsvoiced.co.uk. What they do is they have a survey, I think it closes tonight actually. They have a survey that they, totally anonymous, so your details aren't going to be captured, your name, address, all that, no one's going to know it's you, except for Google, because they know everything. But your details aren't going to be captured. So you can put forward ideas. There's a questionnaire there, and it asks you certain pertinent questions. And what that's going to do is that's going to collect data that's going to go back to the policymakers here in this locality, in Barnet, in Finchley, in this area, right? And that is going to help them shape policy, inshallah. At the very least, it's going to make our voices heard, or it's going to push forward our agendas, inshallah. We need to be more organised. Alhamdulillah, there's groups now that are becoming savvy to the whole operation, and they're kind of understanding the game. Now there's certain people, certain groups that play the political game for nefarious reasons. Their goals and objectives are for fasad, for corruption. We Muslims, we also join the games, because we're part of this world. But our objectives, our aims, isn't fasad. It is for Islah. It is for Tawheed. It is for the spread of Islam and goodness. It is for makarim al-akhlaq. It is for all of those things that the Prophet ﷺ propagated and called to. We can do the same thing with whatever apparatus, whatever tool, whatever avenue we decide to take. And if this is one of those avenues that we can take, then inshallah we should do that also in the night time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all tawfiq to be able to choose what is right, to do what is best for the Muslim Ummah, to be bastions and beacons of hope for everybody else, to be those who are nodes of change within their society. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Ibadallah, in summary, voting is not haram. We have examples of choosing and electing representatives from the Quran and from the Sunnah. We have examples from the Quran and the Sunnah of people partaking in apparatus that are set up even by non-Muslims. We have in our own history when the Tatar took over certain parts of the Muslim world and they were non-Muslim. We have fatwa even from the likes of Ibn Taymiyyah and Izz ibn Abdul Salam and all these other great ulama encouraging and allowing those who are qudat and those who are working within the with the Tatar in their respective lands to further enhance and further embolden the Muslim cause in spite of the fact that they are run and managed and governed by those who aren't necessarily Muslim. So all of this stuff is present, so we can do away with all of the propaganda and all of the peer pressure. With regards to what we want to choose, then inshallah I've spoken about the different ways in which we can find out what to do and how to do it, inshallah ta'ala. And at the end of the day, you guys are all free. Antum ahrar. You guys are all free to choose and do whatever you want. You want to vote, Bismillah, tawakkal ala Allah. You don't want to vote, Bismillah, tawakkal ala Allah. No one's forcing you to do anything. At the end of the day, you guys are absolutely free. But if you don't vote, you know what happens. Somebody else is going to vote for whoever you didn't want to, and the end is always bad. So be part of the process, inshallah ta'ala, make that difference. And at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, any difference that we want to see, any difference that we want to make, cannot be made and cannot come about except with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is always in control. Don't ever think that you have some sort of control in this world. You don't. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control, we should always turn to Him in dua and beseech Him to rectify our affairs, to straighten us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, to keep us upright as believers, and to choose that which is best for the Muslim Ummah at large, and to be those who care for the Muslim Ummah at large, whether that is here in the UK or abroad in Palestine, Sudan, and Kashmir, and other places. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aid our brothers and sisters in all of these areas. Luckily for us, there is an hour on the day of Jummah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asked in that hour. He accepts the du'as of everybody. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the bottom of our hearts, with the utmost sincerity, to forgive our sins, overlook our shortcomings, and save us from the punishment of the hellfire. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعلنا هداة مهتدين ولا تجعلنا ضالين مضلين. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. واذكروا الله العلي الجليل يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم وذكر الله أكبر والله